The most concerning thing about last night's loss against the Ravens, in my opinion, wasn't the turnovers. It was the injuries to the offensive line specifically. So, Kyle Shanahan met with local media today to provide some updates, or maybe not so much, or alluding to the updates that will be coming. But we do have some updates for some players. And in regards to the players that got hurt last night, nothing right now. So Kyle Shanahan said that they'll know further as they do more testing. I think the biggest concern right now is we are looking for Trent Williams as he's going to get an MRI on his groin, which is a little bit scary because, in my opinion, when you're looking at an MRI, you're trying to diagnose a potential tear in a muscle. You're trying to identify strains and things like that. And the thing is, when you're dealing with big guys like Trent Williams, who you need their lower body to be able to move the weight that they have, that becomes concerning. So this is what it's up to right now. The 49ers had three offensive linemen exit the game last night. Trent Williams left, then he was replaced by Jalen Moore, and then Jalen Moore left with a concussion. And then they had to take Colton McKivitz from right tackle, move him to left tackle, put Spencer Burford in, who wasn't playing last night because Jonathan Feliciano seemingly earned the start over Burford at right guard. And then they put uh, Burford at right tackle, which we have never seen Burford play right tackle since his time in the San Francisco 49ers. This is going back to training camp, preseason. He obviously played tackle at one point in college for 2 seasons, but he also played guard in college for 2 seasons, and that's where his natural fit has been in the NFL. So, him playing right tackle is a huge outlier. And so those are the concerns. We had Ben Barch come in as well to fill in for Aaron Banks, who had to leave with a toe. So the San Francisco 49ers, man, they are dealing with injuries up front. That to me is the most concerning thing. Now, obviously, when we talk about the San Francisco 49ers throwing interceptions, four by Brock, one by Sam, obviously turning over the football is always going to be a concern. But those things you can correct. You can go and identify things on tape, and we'll get into a little bit. Kyle Shanahan provided some context into why he only felt one interception by Brock was a bad one, and everything else was just bad luck. But you can correct interceptions. You can correct turnover-worthy plays and things like that with decision making and execution. What you can't correct is just magically making someone healthy. And when we all understand, especially if you subscribe to this channel, we talk about it all the time. It all starts up front in the trenches. Games are won and lost in the trenches with offensive and defensive lines. And the 49ers, man, this this is the concern, is if Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, or even Jalen Moore can't go. That is where the concern lies right now. So we will get some updates later on in regards to those injuries. But I guess let's talk about some of the good news that come out from this Kyle Shanahan call. Is running back Elijah Mitchell will be good to go this week. So I know a lot of people have been giving Elijah Mitchell a hard time because he just flat out hasn't been available due to injury. But it does sound like running back Elijah Mitchell will be good to go this week. He turned in 2 practices last week, so it was kind of a surprise that he was an inactive this game against the Ravens, but he'll be back. But as we know, the 49ers are locked in with CMC at running back, and it just doesn't feel like they really feel comfortable with anyone else back there at the moment. And as we know, CMC is a phenomenal player. He's a true three-down back, doesn't have pass protection, and that's why he's always out there. We are waiting to see if Juwan Jennings will be back. He's still working through the concussion protocol. If I had to guess, Juwan Jennings will be good to go this week. I would assume he wouldn't be in concussion protocol for 2 weeks, but again, we've seen things like that happen before. So we can't rule it out. However, I do anticipate Juwan will return to practice. And some good news, Oren Burks and Ross Dwelly are expected to return to practice. In regards to Eric Armstead, not really sounding very optimistic in regards to his potential availability. It does seem like Eric Armstead could miss another week. So we'll see how it all ultimately pans out. Um, he's still dealing with the foot and knee, so we'll see what's going down with Eric Armstead and what his availability will be this week. We don't really have much of an update to share with you in that regard. So, the 49ers right now, biggest concern is injuries. That's it. Biggest concern is injuries, and the injuries to the offensive line are, to me, at the top of the list, way more so than, Brock Purdy's interceptions last night and things like that. So, that being said, when we look at 49ers Brock Purdy's interceptions, this is what Kyle Shanahan said. And shout out to David Lombardi, shout out to Nick Wagner, and shout out to Niners Nation for getting all this information from the call with Kyle Shanahan. But when David Lombardi is repeating what Kyle Shanahan had to say in regards to the 4 interceptions from Brock Purdy, the first one seemingly is the one that stands out the most. And this is what Shanahan had to say on that in regards to that particular throw. He says, Brock's been one of the best I've ever been around as far as when to take the big play and when to check it down. He just made a really bad decision on one last night. And again, we've talked about it. I've talked about it. I talked about it in the post game. That was the most head scratching one where he threw it right to Kyle Hamilton. And again, if you look from Brock's perspective, they had a camera angle. You know how they have the wire cam drop down. They had it right behind Brock, and honestly, you could see a situation where the linebacker and the safety were lined up right behind each other when they were moving. And based on the angle, you can actually rationalize how Brock doesn't see the safety because he's directly behind the linebacker. I'm going to break it down on tape and try to show you this example in a little bit. But I think that's really what it comes down to. He didn't see the safety, and as a result, made a throw that was an easy pick. It was a Christmas gift for Kyle Hamilton. So that one wasn't great. Kyle Shanahan doesn't agrees with that. That wasn't a good decision. But when kind of talking about the other interceptions, on interception 2, he says, hell of a play by the corner. And that was the one on the screen where he bats it up and knocks it down and makes a great play on it. And again, you look at the operation of the play. Brock is faking play action, turning his back to the defense. The action in the play is to instantly flip and throw. There isn't any reading. It's a timing play. So he's operating the system, and it was just a great play by the corner coming off the edge and hitting it. On interception number 3, Kyle says 50-50 ball to George. 14 did a hell of a job getting his hands in there. And again, that's, it was. He was kind of throwing it to George. It was, in a sense, a 50-50 ball because both the DB and George had equal right to the ball. Ball gets tipped up, and unfortunate. And then the 4th interception says right read, but he was getting hit as he threw, and we saw the replay of his arm getting hit when the ball was released, and it went right to the Ravens defender. So, again, I'm not as concerned about the interceptions, and that's the way that Kyle Shanahan details it is exactly how I feel about it. So I'm not concerned about those interceptions. I think Brock Purdy will be able to bounce back from that. My concern comes from the health of the offensive line. We go as the O-line goes on this offense. So getting those guys healthy, getting these guys back is going to be paramount for the 49ers to be able to bounce back. So let me know what you guys think about all this. Again, we're still trying to process and get into this game against the Ravens, what we've called a Super Bowl preview and all these different types of things. So these are some of the injury updates and kind of where Kyle Shanahan is sitting in regards to Brock's interceptions and all those different types of things. Let me know what you guys think about all this information in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.